Hey, this is Lucky Yates.
Hey there, this is Jimmy Simpson.
Hello, this is Brad Sherwood.
Hi, this is Claire Coffey.
This is Andy Daly. Hey there, this is Kevin Durant.
Hi, I'm Chris Parnell.
Hey, this is TJ Fine.
Hey all, this is David Hoffman.
You are listening to Next Level Radio. Have fun.
It's time for the Showcast. And now, here they are, those pop culture junkies and your hosts, Ben Beck, Adam Gorey, and Steve Richards.
All right, everybody, episode 36 of our third season of the Showcast here on the Next Level Podcast Network is now underway as we bring you another Showcast Spotlight. I am Ben Beck, joined tonight by Steve Richards, and tonight we are joined by someone who has for the past 13 years, if not more, has been part of the TNT network, starting first on the full run of The Closer, and now he can be seen as part of their spin-off show, Major Crimes. Please welcome to the program, Phillip Keene. Phillip, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it, guys.
Did I get that right? Has it been about 13 years now for like the full run of both of those shows?
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. I mean, we had 7.5 years of The Closer, and now this is the 5th season of Major Crimes. So all told, it's almost on 13 years. You're right.
Yeah. I know as far as you mentioned about like 7.5 years on The Closer, and now you guys into the 5th season, Major Crimes. I know a majority of the cast kind of made the transition to, the spinoff of Major Crimes. Was it difficult to make that transition, or was it pretty seamless, moving with a bunch of people that you had already been working with?
It was actually pretty seamless, and I have to credit the writers and producers for making that so. They already knew the characters that they were working with, and they knew there'd be some resistance when we lost our leading lady, who was the fantastic Kira Sedgwick playing Brenda Lee Johnson. And so they used the character of Rusty, oddly enough, to stand in for the audience. And in the opening episode of Major Crimes, Rusty's sitting in Sharon's office, Captain Rader, played by Mary McDonnell, and she is sort of the new, what I would call the wicked stepmother, kind of taking the place of our mom or our glorious leader who'd left. And Rusty's having nothing to do with it. He wants Brenda back. He doesn't like her. He doesn't know her. So he was, in many ways, voicing what our fans were, I think, feeling at the time. But through getting to know her more and building the relationships with the rest of the cast, Rusty and the audience, I think, felt more comfortable with all of us. So the transition really was pretty seamless, actually.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned the fantastic Kira Sedgwick, and I know another person that you had worked with as well on The Closer was J.K. Simmons.
Oh yes.
Has there ever been an opportunity, or even any talks of having them at least like cameo into Major Crimes?
Well, we refer to Chief Pope still quite a bit, so he is technically still there, although he's still not on the show. And Kira has been busy doing films and directing, and I think she's doing something currently with her husband, Kevin, I think up in Canada. So I don't know that she would make a return. I mean, it's certainly within the world of possibilities, but nothing so far, nothing concrete.
Yeah. So I know before getting the role on The Closer, you were pretty relatively new to acting. How nervous did it make you taking on the role like this? It's a major cable network, but it's also your first role. Was it nervous? Were you nervous taking on a role like this?
I wouldn't say nervous. I'd liken it more to being terrified. I was working with such heavy hitters, again, J.K. Simmons, Kira Sedgwick, G.W. Bailey, and everybody kind of took me under their wing and just let me make the mistakes as I was making them and encouraging me along the way. So, yeah, I mean, to say I was green is an understatement, but I think over the last 12 years, I've earned my place in the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say so, too. When you first took the role, did you have any idea that it would become as long-lasting and as huge for the network as it has become?
I didn't know that it was going to be as long-lasting, but during the filming of the pilot, I certainly had a gut instinct that this was going to be a fantastic show and however long it ran, we were going to have a great audience reaction. That much I felt for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just been amazing. Even we're 12 years in, and switching time slots, and some of the characters have changed. Our audience numbers keep growing, which is really remarkable in this market, as I'm sure you guys know. I mean, as the industry's changing, it's harder and harder to hang on to the viewers.
Yeah, certainly. I know what you're talking about there, and when you talk about the acting and being into it and all that stuff, I was looking at your resume, and most actors' non-acting resumes anyway, they include things like waiters and other things like that. But yours includes flight attendant. Is that we're right there? So how did that come about?
I was actually in between jobs. It was the first time I'd ever quit a job without having another one to go into. And I found an ad in the LA Times back in 1987, and Pan Am was hiring. And I spoke Spanish because I'd lived in Central America for a couple of years. So I did all 3 interviews in the same day, and within 3 months, I was on a plane to London. And for the next 4.5 years, I was just flying around the world and just having a great time.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, is there a favorite place that you've I don't know how much time you get to spend being a flight attendant in the actual cities, but is there a favorite place or anything like that you've gotten to, I guess, experience or travel to?
I think 2 of my favorite places right now are, and that I found out about first when I was flying, would be Argentina and Paris. I also spent a month in Rio. I had 4 or 5 day layovers there, which was kind of crazy at the time, but it was fun. I'd leave midnight on a Friday from Miami. I'd get there Saturday morning. I'd have 5 days out by the pool or the beach, and then I'd fly back to Miami for 24 hours and then do it all over again. So.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the worst job hanging out on the beach.
I was just going to say the same thing.
No.
And then, of course, I guess the other side of being a flight attendant is there has to have been some kind of nightmare passenger story that you have, and there's one that sticks out that you just, every time you think about it, you cringe, and now I want that story.
I was actually attacked by a passenger once. He put his hands around my throat, this older man who kept going from the economy section of the plane up to business class. I didn't know what he was doing until I realized that he was so drunk he could barely stand, but he put his hands around my throat and blamed me for World War II.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
So you could, he had to be out of his mind to be doing something like that. So
Yeah.
I think that was the most, the most threatening thing that ever happened to me, other than losing 2 engines mid-Atlantic during a flight.
Wait. Other than losing 2 engines on a plane.
Yeah. So, but we were trained for safety in a really big way. So I wasn't too concerned because we still had 2 engines left, but we did have to turn around and make landfall in Gander, Newfoundland, and I've actually been there twice for similar reasons. 2 of the engines had caught on fire. The pilots put them out, and we had to turn around because they determined that it wasn't safe enough for us to continue on to London. So it was a little bit of a scene like from those airplane movies. I had people screaming and throwing things around, and a woman grabbed my arm and said to me, "You knew there was something wrong with this plane before we took off." And I calmly looked at her and said, "Madam, do you really think I would have gotten on this plane if I knew there was something wrong with it?"
Exactly.
So I gave her a couple of mini vodkas, and she was okay.
Has any experience like that ever, I mean, at the time, did it ever get you close to just saying, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore?
The only thing that ever, the thought that crossed my mind was when in 1988, December 21st, the Lockerbie disaster. Those were all friends of mine that I'd worked with, and most of them I had seen the day before. And that was the only time that I might have questioned continuing with that career. But I felt safe with the company. I really did. And I loved everybody that I worked with, and I just had a great time. So I stayed. Yeah.
And it was Pan Am that you worked for, right?
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't even think Pan Am's not around anymore, are they?
No. December 4th, 1991, at about 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, they closed the doors.
It shows you how much I fly. It's been almost over 20 years since they've been around,
wow.
and I had to question it.
Yeah, things have changed a little bit.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
I know you studied history and art history at UCLA before, finding your passion for acting.
Yes.
I'm curious, that seems like a bit of a jump, but what gave you that bug? Or what was it that gave you the bug to make you want to pursue acting?
Well, it was something, honestly, that I had always wanted to do, but growing up in the circumstances that I did, it was never a practical pursuit for me. I started working full-time when I was 12, working in restaurants. My mom and dad had a couple of them, and by the time I finished high school, I was already working full-time, so the idea of pursuing something like that just was never a guarantee, and as it isn't for anyone. But it wasn't until I was well into my 30s that I decided to go to school and get my degree. And during that time, I thought, you know what, now is my chance. If I'm ever going to pursue this is going to be it. So I started taking acting classes and doing student films and workshops, and I was lucky enough to meet the people that I did, and they opened doors for me, and I walked through them, and luckily enough, here I am still, 12 years later.
Yeah. I mean, definitely a successful run with as we mentioned, The Closer and now Major Crimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm glad we're getting into Hollywood here because I was actually watching the Emmys last night, and Jeffrey Tambor, of course, he won another one for his role in Transparent, and during his acceptance speech, he mentioned just giving trans actors a chance, and then I saw Laverne Cox from Orange is the New Black. She echoed the sentiment, and I'm glad I'm getting to ask you this question because you seem like an articulate guy here. But I'm wondering about your thoughts and experiences maybe in regards to the progress being made or maybe even improvements needed between the LGBTQ community and Hollywood.
I think there's definite strides that have been made. If you look at the representation that we have on screen, I think it's quite evident. We're no longer the butt of the jokes or the stereotypical sissy or poof, as the English like to say. But I was watching most recently How to Get Away with Murder, and they have a number of characters on that show, and two of them happen to be gay. One appears to have been bisexual at one point. It doesn't seem to be an issue. It's a non-issue, but people are just themselves, and I really do think that we've made great advances, especially in the last 20 years. I can remember trying to get my first apartment with my boyfriend and being refused because we were told that they didn't rent to two men, and I knew exactly what that meant.
Sure.
Being bullied in high school and things like that. And I think, again, we've made a lot of progress, but there's still more progress that needs to be made. So, I'm not very familiar with the transgender community. I've never really had much experience with them, so I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, no problem. I actually was thinking if you thought that maybe there would be a kind of a bigger gap between the transgender community and then the lesbian gay community, but because it seems like you think, because your husband, he's a coworker, yeah? You work with him?
Yes.
Yes. On The Closer, so it seems like there has been some bigger strides made just within the lesbian gay as opposed to the trans community as far as Hollywood's concerned.
For some reason, there still seems to be a greater stigma with that aspect of our community, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because people can't quite figure out who people are, and people love to put labels on people. They need to be able to identify who or what they're dealing with, and I don't think that's always easy for people. Yeah,
what it sounds like you're saying is that what's nice about with the gay and lesbian actors is they're not just playing gay and lesbian characters anymore, where that transition maybe still needs to happen with the trans actors is kind of what it sounds like you were getting at there.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I think you put that into better words than I was able to. But that's exactly my sentiment, yes. I made the joke early on that I'm the gay actor taking the very brave stance of playing a straight character, and be damned if it ruins my career, but here we go. I was there with people.
I know, still sticking to the Hollywood side of everything, it's not unheard of for actors on a show to occasionally take the reins from time to time and get behind the camera, which, your character, Buzz Watson, that's nothing really new. But behind the actual camera that's filming you guys on Major Crimes, is that something that you think maybe you would want to play with sometime down the road, is maybe direct an episode?
Definitely. The more confident I become in being able to analyze a script and take it apart and see all the different pieces coming together, that is something that definitely interests me. When I first started on The Closer, again, because I was so green, what I did to try and familiarize myself with the business was sit with different departments whenever I had time off. In the beginning, that was quite a bit. So I would sit with lighting and the grip department and hair and makeup or costumes. I'd get to sit in on tone meetings and sets and locations meetings. So I wanted to see how all the different parts came together. Now I have sort of a basic understanding of all of that. So I think later on, if I get the opportunity, I would certainly love to be able to be behind the camera in that aspect. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I know besides your credits on, in the closer and Major Crimes, we've mentioned a number of times throughout this that you're still relatively green as far as, television and Hollywood roles. Any interest?
200 episodes, some of the green is washed off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, I mean, any interest in possibly making the jump to big screen film sometime in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm always on my agents about, if anything like that rears its head, I would love to be able to do that. The good thing and the bad thing about being a series regular, especially with working 21 to 23 episodes a year, is that you don't really have a lot of time off. So it's difficult to schedule other things, which is a bad thing, but it's also a good thing because you're working.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's technically a bit of job security for you at the moment because
definitely
the show is still successful, and hopefully it still goes for a number of more seasons. And with the way that Major Crimes has been going, we're keeping our fingers crossed that it's going to extend past the run of the closer, which was 7.5 years.
I think that's a definite possibility, and I for one would be ecstatic if that happens.
Yeah, I'm interested here because I don't know that we've ever talked to an actor who has played the same character for 12 years. That's quite a long time. So I'm wondering, how easy it is, or if there's nuances that you're trying to put into it, or if it's kind of just you kind of are this guy at this point.
It's interesting when I put on his clothes. That is when the transformation sort of begins. I mean, there's some similarities between he and I, but Buzz is much more naive than I am, and he's much more of a Boy Scout than I could ever hope to be. There's a quote in Anne Frank's diary that I'm going to mangle a little bit, but I think the essence of it is, I still believe that people are good at heart, despite everything I've seen, and I think Buzz still has that, and he has such a faith in the justice system. It's a little interesting to me, given that all he's seen, that he still has this outlook, and Buzz is quite a bit younger than I am, so that's another element that's interesting to play as well.
Yeah. It brings up another question that I had as well. I mean, you kind of touched base on it a little bit too, but how much of yourself do you kind of see in Buzz?
That's always a good question. I would suppose at its roots there are similarities between us in that we do think that most of humanity is good. At least there's a hope for that. But I think that I am personally a little more cynical than he is. So in trying to become much more like Buzz. My friend Raymond, who plays Sanchez on the show, always jokes with me and says, "You are so much nastier than Buzz is. You are so mean. Buzz is so much nicer than you."
I guess one final question before we start to wrap things up too, and this is just something that I'm curious about. Obviously, your character's name is Buzz Watson, and I'm assuming you may have lost count at this point in time how many times you've been referred to or compared to Watson from Sherlock and Watson.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it is kind of funny. Although Buzz's first name, his first name is actually Francis, which you can sort of understand why he doesn't use it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Well, I know as of right now, at the time that we're talking to you, the summer finale is going to be airing tonight. So by the time our listeners get to hear this, we'll have already passed. But of course, they can catch up on it on demand and such as well. When is the show expected to return?
We haven't been given a date yet, although I know the writers are in the room as we speak writing the next 8 episodes. I'm not sure how many more that they have to finish, but I know they've got 8 more on the boards, and when they're going to air, we haven't been given the air dates yet. But
okay.
I know it's not going to be before Christmas. That much I do know.
Okay. So we're probably looking closer into the beginning of next year.
I would think so, yeah. Because we don't start filming again until January 15th. We're on a brief hiatus right now.
Oh, okay.
Just to give the writers some time to get away from the actors, if you will, and to get the breath and and give us more things to say.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for when the show returns. It airs Monday nights, 10 o'clock, 9 Central on TNT. Obviously, we want to send people your way on social media as well. You're at Phillip Keene on Twitter.
Correct.
And, of course, they can follow the show at Major Crimes TNT on Twitter at the same time. Phillip, we wish you luck in your audition tonight. We know you got an audition right after us, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, and hopefully we get to talk to you again later on down the road after Major Crimes is renewed again and again and again.
Everything crossed, guys.
Thanks again for joining us, Phillip. This was great.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Yep, have a good one. And we will see you guys next time on the next Showcast Spotlight.